Let's discuss today Shari'a standard number 17. This is the name of this standard is investment Sukuk. Sukuk is an Arabic word which means a certificate, which we use generally in conventional language we use for certificates or bonds. Broadly, we are going to discuss certain topics like the statement of standards, what is the scope of this standard, what is the definition of investment Sukuk, what are different types of Sukuk in terms of each option, each Islamic concept like Mudaraba, Shari'a, what are the characteristics of investment Sukuk, what are the Shari'a rulings and regulations related to it, and what is the issue date of this standard, and when this standard is adopted. This is the discussion of the day. This is a very interesting discussion. Sukuk is the growing field in terms of Islamic banking and finance, and IFIs are facing ever-changing challenges related to Sukuk concept, its mechanism, its floating, and into different international and domestic markets. What is the aim of this standard? The aim of this standard is to elaborate the Sharia's rules for the issuance and trading of investment Sukuk. These are certificates or bonds. So if I use word Sukuk, it means a certificate. We can use both ways, as well as the elaboration of their types, characteristics. So there are certain types of business models, and for each business model there is a specific type of certificate or a bond. Like in conventional bonds, we have bonds backed by mortgage, secured bond, unsecured bond classified as term serial bonds. We have bonds for a series of payment. We have bonds for a specific terms. We have bearer bonds, which is registered in any one particular name, and we have unregistered bond. This is anyone carries, becomes the owner of this. So keeping in view the traditional type of bonds, how the Islamic investment bonds or certificates works, this is what we are going to discuss today, and I will explain you second type of Islamic concept which is quite relevant with the Sukuks. Let's define the scope of the standard. The standard is applied to the investment Sukuk. These bonds include the ownership of leased asset, ownership of services, Marhaba, Salam, Istasniya, Mudaraba, Shari'a, all kind of Islamic products that we have already discussed in the accounting portion, investment agencies, and the irrigation or agriculture partnerships. The standard does not apply to share or joint stock companies, certificate of funds, and investment portfolios. Let's define the investment Sukuk. What is the definition of this? These are certificates of equal value, representing undivided shares in ownership of tangible assets. When we say tangible assets, in accounting terms, we have two types of assets. One is tangible, one is intangible. Tangible, which is we can touch and they have a physical existence. So Sukuk is like, is comparing the equal value of representing undivided shares in the tangible assets, and any kind of services of the asset, particular project, specialist investment activities. However, it is true to say that after receipts of the value of Sukuk, the closing of subscription and the employment of funds received for this purpose for which the Sukuk were issued. So once the purpose is served, Sukuk will automatically be dissolved, In this standard, what we are going to discuss is the designated, like Sukuk has designated as investment Sukuk in order to distinguish from shares and bonds. In conventionally, when we say share is a part of ownership. You have a shared capital which you go in stock exchange or in other alternative investment markets. You sell them and you get initial IPOs, initial public offerings. You sell it to the underwriter sell in the secondary market. This is the mechanism of the share capital. In terms of bonds are the liabilities. It depends upon the types of the bonds that you issue, but it is regulated as liabilities. So we will try to distinguish between shares and the bonds in general during our discussions. Let's discuss the type of investment Sukuk. And the first is certificate of ownership in leased asset. Leased assets are those which is, as we know, there are two types of leases. One is operating and one is finance lease. And the difference of these leases we have already discussed in the leasing sections. But in terms of certificate of ownership in leased asset, these certificates are equal value issued either by the owner of a leased asset or a tangible asset to be leased by promise, or they are issued by a financial intermediary who is mediating between these two parties and acting on the behalf of the owner with the aim of selling the asset and recovering its values through subscription, so that the holder of the certificates become the owner of the assets. This is the concept of certificates of ownership in leased assets. When it comes to usufructs, this is a Latin word that we enjoy. Meaning of this is to enjoy for a limited period of time. There are two types in this for existing asset. One is the certificate of equal value issued by the owner of an existing asset either on his or through a financial intermediary with the aim of leasing the asset and receiving the rental from the revenue of subscription, so that the asset passes into ownership of the holder of the certificate. This is one option. The other option is certificate of the equal value by the owner of an existing asset. This is like lessee, either on his own or through a financial intermediary with the aim of subleasing and receiving the rental from the revenue of the subscription, so that the holder of the certificate becomes owner of the asset. So ownership is really important in terms of bonds. That's why these are the two options. Let's discuss the more option like certificate of ownership of usufructs of the described future assets. These are again certificate of equal value for the purpose of leasing out tangible asset and for collecting the rentals from the subscription revenue, so the holder becomes the owner of these certificates. In terms of specified party, when you are going to give a service, this will be the certificate of equal value for the purpose of providing services through which a specific provider, such as educational benefit in a nominated university, and obtaining the service charges in the form of subscription income, that the holder of the certificates become owner of these services. So two things are very important. First is the ownership, second is the rental income. It should not have interest elements, it should not have fixed promises, otherwise Sukuk will violate the Shari'a basic principles. Let's talk about the certificate of ownership for a future service. These are the certificate of equal value issued for the purpose of providing future services through prescribed providers such as educational university without naming the educational institute. So educational institute name will be hidden, and obtaining the fee in the form of subscription, so the holder become the owner. These are the basic requirements.